What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 41 of the David Soto Jr. podcast. I am your host, David Soto Jr. And today we're going to talk about a little thing that I've been on my mind. It's called the 6 month to live to-do list. Basically, we're going to die. And we need to act like we're going to die. We're not going to live forever. Years are going to go by. Decades, years, decades, multiple decades will go by, and we'll wonder, what the hell were we doing? What did we do for the past 10 years? How was I 30 years old and had all these desires and dreams, and now I'm 40 and I still have the same desires? I achieved nothing, And without looking at our life like we are going to die, I don't know how much progress we're really going to make. How motivated are we going to be without looking at life like this? And the biggest thing that I hear from people is that it's morbid to think about death. Is it? Because it's going to happen. It's part of the cycle of life for every living creature being on this earth. Nobody lives forever. We are born and eventually we die, and there's no way around it, right? The two guarantees in life are death and taxes. So we're all going to die, and by avoiding talking about it, by just ignoring it, does not make it go away. It's going to happen. And for some of us, it happens a lot sooner than we anticipate. And maybe we'll be gone just like that. Car accident, a brain aneurysm, or maybe we'll take a little bit longer to die, and we'll be able to look back on our lives and have regrets. And of course, popular quote is, we don't regret the things that we did, we regret the things that we did not do. And if you ever interact, and I've never interacted with people on their deathbed, but it's common knowledge that people talk about the things that they didn't do, and they regret taking better care of themselves. Oh, actually, I had that information somewhere. They regret not taking care of better care of themselves. They regret not interacting and telling people that they love them and spending more time with their loved ones. And they regret they regret that they worked so much. That's one thing that you could think of as something people regret that they did. But in actuality, if you look at it, it's that they regret that they didn't spend time with their family, too busy working and striving for success and trying to be successful, quote unquote. And so I don't know if I developed it. I think I heard somebody say it, if I'm correct, I think I heard somebody mention a 5-year to-do list. If you had 5 years to live, or 6, I don't know. But I decided to make it an exercise where I make a to-do list and write down the things that I would do if I only had 6 months to live, and then write down things that I would do if I only had 5 years to live. And since I started this, I thought of this, and I started doing this in 2014. And since I've done this, wait a minute, let me backtrack. The reason for this exercise is to see your priorities, like what's most important to you in your life. If I ask you right now, you may say, oh, my kids are the most important thing, or you may say my job or my career. These are things that you probably think are your priorities in life. But when you put a deadline on it, right? I've made a video about this before, and I called it Upgrade Your Bucket List. And I'm pretty harsh about a bucket list. I think it's shit. I think it's bullshit. They're just things that you want to post on Facebook, or something that you can say, this is on my bucket list, and post a picture of a ice hotel, and someday I'm going to go there. It's bullshit. All right. Take your bucket list and upgrade it to put a 6-month to-do list, 6-month to die to-do list. And what that does is it's gonna, you're gonna say fuck a ice hotel, right? You're gonna say fuck travel to Fiji. Maybe not, right? But you, like, all these things that you think you want to do, are they really a priority? Put a deadline on it, right? Put a 6-month deadline on it, and you'll see what your priorities are. That's the purpose of this exercise. Is it really gonna make you go out and do this thing? Like, oh, I want to, swing from the delicate arch, and I don't even know if you can swing from delicate arch, but in Utah, does it mean you're going to go do it? And bungee jump, does it mean you're going to do it? No, but it's going to really, the exercise is to have you look at your priorities and see what your priorities are. That's what it is, but it turns into much more once you do this. So back to my first list in 2014, I'm going to share that with you, which is what I did in 2016. I looked at this list and I was like, wow. And I wrote about it and commented on it in 2016. Well, here I am 2 years later, and I'm looking through my articles and essays, and I see that the list I updated in 2016, everything has now been accomplished. So here we go. 6 months to live. This is 2014. This is before I set out in my van and to accomplish van life and everything. 6 months to live. Buy a van. Did it. Travel to the U.S. Did it. Take pictures. Did it. Love, love, love. And I joke and say, well, I did love maybe just one of the loves, not 3 of the loves, all 3, but I did that. And get a dog. I did that. By the time I looked at this list in 2016, I had accomplished all of these. I bought my van and got it ready to live in, converted it to a sleeper, traveled to the U.S. in it, even traveled to Mexico. I took lots and lots of pictures. I loved, it's not very tangible, I can't say, but I did. And even if it wasn't a person, it was the dog. It was my dog, Rusty. And I love that dog so much. So, real quick, at the time that I wrote this list, I wrote the 5-year list. The 5-year list only has 3 things. I like to write things in 5s, though. When I do publish my gratitude journal, it'll have things that people should list in bundles of 5. For some reason, I just love 5, but I only wrote 3 here. 5 years to live list. Start a family, buy some land, build a tiny home. I'm obsessed with building tiny homes. I've always been obsessed with building non-conventional homes. I have yet to build one. But in 2005, when I was living in a 20-foot storage container in Iraq, that just set something in my brain that I could build these, I could make these. And I've come so close to starting this kind of builds, but I've had some setbacks. And so buy some land. I still want, specifically, if you read my bio and in my podcast description, there's a $4 million ranch in Colorado that I just have my eyes set on. Do I have I don't have $4,000, to tell you the truth. Yes, I do. I have $4,000. But $4 million, like how? I broke that down into, like, if I could make that in 20 years, I'd have to have a salary of like $350,000 a year in order to get to the point, where by the time I hit age 60, I'd have $4 million to put down on this. I don't know. It's tough. What just went off? I should have turned this off. Hopefully it won't go off again. So that's my 5-year list. Start a family. I did it. So by writing this 5-year list since 2014, I got 1 out of 3. It's batting 300. Not too shabby. Everything you write down comes true. And eventually, That's the moral of this whole goddamn story, is everything you write down comes true. Start a family. Do you know where I was in 2014? Do you know? It's amazing. Like, there's no way. Like, start a family wasn't even on a possibility in June of last year. Of course, July of last year is when it happened, or when it started. Start a family. Anyways, I don't want to get off track because the 6-month to-do list is really what this is about. You can write a 5-year one. It's helpful, but not as helpful as the 6-month list. Okay, so let's get back to it. This is my 2014 list: buy a van, travel to the US, take pictures, love, 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 get a dog. I accomplished all those when I came across this list in 2016. 2016, I'm like, wow, I did all this. Let me create a new one. So this is my 2016 list. Have sex, number one priority. This is another topic of conversation, but I had a really crazy, like, high sex drive for most of my life. It's just now, like, within 2 months, I've gotten control of it. But changes started happening. Like, my sex drive didn't change, but the way that I viewed women, and I started questioning my morals and what I was doing, and I could see that there wasn't. Anyways, I just stopped having sex around the van lifetime. Now, it could be the fact that I was living in the van that I wasn't having so much sex, but it just wasn't a priority for me anymore. It wasn't something that I was pursuing, but it was still something that I missed, and I wanted to. And after being celibate for so long, by the time 2016 came around, I was like, man, I would really like to have sex. And the joke when I wrote is like, if I'm gonna die in 6 months, I'm gonna have me some sex. So I have sex. Obviously, I have a son on the way, so draw your own conclusions there. Next on the list, write 2 manuscripts. I wrote 2. I think I wrote 3 or maybe more since 2016. So I did that. Next, get an accurate diagnosis. I was referring to what I was going through with the VA and my mental health, and really had this eye-opening experience in Mexico where I was in a short relationship with someone who had everything I've ever heard other people say that they had to deal with me. There's anger and mood swings and all kinds of bad things that people who were my partners for the previous 20 years had to deal with. I got in a relationship where I had to deal with it, and I was like, wow, something is wrong with me. So that was 2016. Can't be. That was 2015. And so for the rest of that year and for the rest of the next 3 years, I was trying to get some help and get things figured out. And my diagnosis from the VA in Colorado Springs was horrible. Like, it was no help whatsoever. And it was frustrating. Finally, here in St. Louis, I got some help, and I was able to get on some meds, and it's really changed my life and changed my relationship and all kinds of things. So that was a priority, and I got it done. I got it squared away. The last one on this list, see more of my country. And this is part of my van life goal, was to drive around and travel the country. And 2 things that I noticed about being a van lifer was I didn't like not knowing where I was going to sleep. Yes, I was going to sleep in my van. And technically, my home was with me everywhere I went. But I did not like the fact that if I did something illegal, like park where I wasn't supposed to, that somebody's going to be knocking on my window, specifically the police, which only happened once, luckily. So I got to the point where I stuck around the places I knew that I felt safe and comfortable. I sleep a lot easier knowing that I'm not going to be disturbed. So, oh wow, that just made me realize something. Me and you know who have gone through, who went through a heavily discussed topic is our sleeping arrangements, and now I kind of see how important it is for me to know that I'm going to sleep uninterrupted. Anyways, so that's one thing. The other thing is I really liked Colorado, and I didn't want to leave. There was so much of Colorado that I wanted to experience and see, and especially when I became a resident and started fishing on a daily basis. So I did see more of Colorado. Does that count? I mean, technically it counts. But I'm over it. I'm not, it's not a big deal. I think that I didn't really accomplish this, so I kind of did. I don't know. So this was my 2016. So now here, this brings us to present day. 2018, I'm scrolling through my essays. I see this, I see the pictures. I'm like, oh, I remember this. And I go and I look through this list and I see that I've accomplished everything, more or less accomplished everything that I did on this list. So just like 2016, here I am, 2018. I'm going to update my list, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to share this with you. So if I had 6 months to live, present day, if I had 6 months to live, here is the 5 things. I went back to a list of 5. Here's the 5 things I would do right now. These are going to be my priorities in life, right? Number 1, get life insurance. Honestly, if I'm going to die in 6 months, I need to set up you-know-who. I need to set up baby Davy so that they are going to be taken care of for several years, if not the rest of their lives. I would get life insurance, which I had life insurance for 20 something years and never needed it because I was single. But they sell you this stuff in the Air Force and they tell you need it, and it's only $14 a month, and it's useless because unless you're married, unless you have children, you don't need life insurance. Get life insurance. Next, write and publish 3 books. If I have 6 months to live, here's the thing. So from 2016 list, I had to write 2 manuscripts. I said, I think I have 3. Write and publish 3 books. I'm going to publish those 3 books. Or probably going to write an additional one, a children's book for my son. I think I want to write a story about like little stories about his grandmother, and make them kind of magical folklore. Unfortunate thing about me being so old is that my son will never see his grandparents. They're all gone. Or, I'm sorry, great-grandparents. Grandparents are still around. But his great-grandparents, he'll never know them. He'll never see them. They've been gone for many years now. So, write and publish 3 books. That's a priority. Next up is take lots of pictures. Now, I'm obsessed. I'm a photographer, and I'm a writer, and I'm a photographer, and it's weird to say those things, but I am, and I take good pictures. And I know I love saying take pictures instead of photographs, or I just like the simplicity of saying it's childish, it's immature kind of. But that's what it is. Like since I was a kid, I love to take pictures. It's something that's in my family. My dad and his dad, we've all been photographers at some point, amateur, mainly. Even my cousin is into cinematography and does it as a profession. So it's in our blood to take pictures. We love it. I love it. And so even on my first 6 months to-do list, it said take pictures. And now this updated 6 month to-do list, it was instinctual for me to say take lots of pictures. For one thing, to be able to look back when I see pictures that my father took, it feels good. It's cool. It's one of the coolest things that I can experience is to see where I got my eye from, and uh, I wish he didn't never stopped. He stopped, but that is one of the coolest things. And now in digital form, like I can take, and I have thousands and thousands of photos, and I would like for my son to be able to look through these and see what talent his father had, and maybe to be inspire him to take up photography or any other means of creativity, to know that he can do whatever it is he wants to do artistically. If he is questioning any of it and doesn't want and wants to be embarrassed, like me writing beautiful love stories is kind of embarrassing. I'm this big macho guy, right? I'm supposed to, but write romantic love stories seems crazy, like something I shouldn't do. I want my son to have their freedom to know that his dad expressed himself artistically and that he can do that too. And I think that pictures would help me convey that to him long after I'm gone. Next on the list is marry you know who. You know who recently got engaged. She's the love of my life. She has been. If you don't know the story, I haven't really told it, but we were separated from each other for 13 years. I've known my whole life, not my whole life, most of my adult life. I've known since 2003, technically in 2001. Again, this is part of the story. Like, she didn't know I existed, and I saw her in 2001, and I pretty much was drawn to her. I can't say that I knew I was going to marry her and she would, but I saw her in 2001 and was like blown away. I'll tell the story someday, I promise. Then I ended up getting a job at a gym, and she worked at the gym, and the rest is history. But there's a lot of history there. So, you know who and I got back together in July of last year. We conceived our son. He's due in a couple months, and if I'm going to die, I want her to have my name, and I want her to be the beneficiary of the life insurance policy and anything that I own, and I want her and my son to have the same name. So I would marry you know who, which is going to happen within 6 months anyways. And the last thing is I would move to Colorado. I want to live in the mountains. I want fly fishing. I want to build fires. I want to do this every day of my life. If I only have 6 months to live, I want to do this every day of my life. I want to do it every day of my life now, and I'm probably going to live another 50 years. But I want to do this. You know who wanted to have the baby here? She was considering moving to Colorado with me. She wants to have the baby here. I agreed, and so here I am. All right. I still anticipate being a Colorado resident. I still anticipate visiting, going hunting, and moving there, and buying that land and buying that ranch. But for now, we are in Missouri. But however, if I had 6 months to live, I'd pack her ass up and take her to Colorado. I'm like, your ass can move back to Missouri when I'm dead. All right. So that is my 6 month to live to-do list. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I'm challenging you. If you're listening to this, I am challenging you to write a 6 month to live to-do list. And you can share it with me, or you can't, because it's not really not any of my business. But what I'm trying to do is motivate people to like open their eyes and see what their priorities in life are. And if you write this list, you're going to be surprised. Now, I published this in 2014, first of all, and I was on Tumblr, and I posted it there, and a woman came back to me, and she was like, I think this is depressing to think about dying. I don't want to think about it. And I thought, well, I'm sorry, don't read it, don't do what I asked you to. But she did it anyways. And she came back, she goes, here's my list. And the thing on her list was the thing that I remember. I don't remember the whole list, and I don't even know if I could find it on Tumblr from that many years ago. But the thing on her list was plan her wedding. Like one of those, like that caught my attention. You're pretending that you have 6 months to live. What was the first thing on your list that you would do? Your biggest priority is to plan your wedding. And I don't even know if she could see that. Can you see that that's your priority? Like, what is stopping you? Why aren't you doing this? Like, she first said that she would, if it was depressing, she would just eat everything. Like, this is what she said: I'm not going to do this exercise. I think it's depressing. All I would do is just sit around and eat whatever I wanted. But when she sat down and wrote the list, eating whatever she wanted was not on the list. Planning her wedding. So to me, if I was able to speak to her, I would say, like, what the F are you waiting for? Plan your wedding, woman. How hard is that? How hard is it? It's not even get married. It's plan it. Like, the priority isn't get married. The priority was write down the things and start planning it, and or getting venues and invitations and all that stuff. Like, why was she not doing that? It's obviously a priority in her life. Everything else that she does is not a priority if it's not on this list. What's stopping her? What stopped her from planning her wedding? Honestly, I'm wondering now if she's married. What happened to that? Last time I made something like this, I did it on YouTube, which this will be on YouTube. And I heard from a friend of a friend, or I heard from somebody that somebody watched my video and sat down with her husband and made a 6 month. They both made, like, I would kind of like to know the results, like what has happened since people started making this 6 month to-do list. You don't have to interact with me. But it would be kind of cool to know, like, oh, I saw your video, I listened to your podcast, I wrote a 6 month to-do list last year, and I've accomplished everything. I kind of promise you that everything you write down will kind of get accomplished. It's changing your mindset, and it's telling you what your priorities are. One last thing: hookers and cocaine. What do I mean by hookers and cocaine? I mean hookers and cocaine. I mean, like, all the vices that you want to do. Like, even this lady who said, I would just eat whatever I wanted. Those are temporary. They're not going to give you any satisfaction. And if that's your priorities, like, this is an exercise for you to open your eyes and let you in. If you can only write down 5 things that you would do to accomplish in the next 6 months before your death, if you wrote down hookers and cocaine, that should really tell you something. Because chances are you're not going to die within the next 6 months. Chances are you're going to live a long time. But it should really tell you something when you look at your 5 things that are most important to you in your life, and hookers and cocaine are 2 of them. All right? Or eating Twinkies, or Nutter Butters, or, getting high, or like clubbing. Like, would that really be on your? I mean, it could be. I mean, to each their own. Everybody do what you want. But I think the importance of this exercise is to see what's really important in your life. And I challenge you to do that. One more thing that I have to say is, when it comes to living your life like you want and doing whatever you want in your life, and why not do hookers and cocaine? Because I think you have to do no harm, right? That's the theory that I've come up with, or do no harm. Like, no matter, do whatever you want in life, but make sure that you do no harm to anyone, and to more importantly, to yourself, right? Live life like you're going to die, but keep in mind, do no harm to anyone, and especially yourself. My name is David Soto Jr., folks. I appreciate you tuning in. Follow me on Twitter at David E. Soto Jr. Follow me on Instagram at David E. Soto Jr. And I'm on Medium. I'm going to include links to the article I wrote about this. You can see my list and the actual picture of the list I wrote from 2014. I got a baby on the way. So if you want to help me out, buy a book. $2.99. Not gonna hurt. Not gonna hurt you. Not gonna put you out. It's not gonna put that much money in my pocket, but it will help me get ratings on Amazon. I need reviews. I need ratings. I need verified purchases. I need all that. I'll put a link in the show notes for seeing my books on Amazon. I got more coming out. I'm working on a short story right now that I'm going to publish. That's going to be a 99-cent ebook. And that's it, folks. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much. Peace.